Hello, welcome to my channel, Wing Spiritual Clarity. My name is Wendy Wing. I'm doing a reading for Gemini. Welcome, Gemini. So since this is a general reading, take what resonates and leave the rest. All right, Gemini, in the past, you were in the energy of shadow. Something hidden. Subconscious, unconscious energy, aspects of yourself that you're unwilling or unable to see clearly. Maybe aspects of yourself that that you wanted to keep hidden, unwilling to see about yourself. Aspects of yourself that are restless and impulsive. This is in the past. It feels like you were very reckless. Someone was unpredictable. It feels like their emotions, like an inability to harness or contain, feels like reactivity. Being reactive instead of responsive. All right, I'm getting this feeling that you did not see your behavior as impulsive or reckless. I get this feeling that you perceived that you were being passionate and inspired, adventurous, fearless. But there are at least others, it feels like an unwillingness or an inability to see something about your behavior, how there was a disregard for yourself or disregard for others. And it feels very reactive. But it's so interesting because I'm getting this feeling that at least in the past energy, you were positive that you were just behaving passionately, that you felt inspired to this action. And for you, it showed fearlessness. However, I think when I look at how others were perceiving you, how there's an aspect of your personality that, oh, this is Gemini. This kind of makes sense. Gemini had the twins. Maybe it's a willingness to see that you're not just flat. There's not just one way of perceiving anybody, but it feels like somehow this got you into some hot water, is what I'm feeling. This unwillingness to, it doesn't feel like that others saw you in this way is the issue. It feels like what the issue is, my birds are so loud. I feel like what the issue is not absolutely, like there's no way, like a not owning your shadow. And I feel like this has created a burden on you. your unwillingness to accept shadow aspects, things that aren't pleasing or desirable, or things that you're ashamed of or guilty for. There's something about you carrying the burden of trying to not see this about yourself. An unwillingness to acknowledge that, and it's hard to change. I think it's downright impossible to change things that we don't accept out here, and that we don't accept about ourselves. It feels like it's taking a lot of your bandwidth, a lot of your energy to only see what you want to see about yourself, and to only talk about with others what you want them to see about you. Wow. It feels like a real opportunity to, I mean, this is in the past position, so I'm curious, let's get right to it. Let's get to your current energy, Gemini. Your current energy is obstacles and challenges. This has been coming up a lot, this card, in the last several days. Change. Fives are uncomfortable. Change tends to be uncomfortable. Changing, maybe you are in current energy, changing the way you're seeing obstacles and challenges. Maybe in the past you thought it was outside of you. It was, you're arguing with people, and now you're realizing an obstacle and challenge is yourself, your limited perspective. Maybe some ego work, being willing to be like, yeah, I've got some things I need to work on, as we all do. Like, yeah, let's just open up the discussion. Let's talk about it. Let's air it out. Yes, again, exhaustion. There's something about this type of trying to protect your ego, trying to only be perceived as a good guy without any faults. That's exhausting. You think it's building up your confidence, but it really destroys your confidence, because there's an immaturity in not being willing to see aspects of yourself that need to change. And so if you're unwilling to see them, how can you change them? For some of you, this is the first time I've had that. It feels like some of you are cross-watching. And so welcome. But it feels like this is about someone you know. But you might have matching pictures. I think we all do. There are some things that it's so painful to admit about ourselves. Things I know that I want people to perceive about me, when the exact opposite is true as well. I do notice with my own path of consciousness and awakening and doing shadow work that the more just authentic I am, and like, yeah, I'm having some difficulty. It took a while for me to switch from communicating from a PR, public relations, needing to perceive that I've got the answers, that everything is fine, that everything is going just as I planned, like a facade, talking in that kind of language. It took a while to shift to something more genuine, being very honest and open with people about where I am. not without oversharing or overburdening anyone, but just being like, how's your day? Okay. Instead of, oh, everything's fine. Everything's great. Yeah, I got some issues. I'll figure it out. Something about it feels like you're having an opportunity to show up more authentic, to okay, for some of you, when people see your shadow side, when people acknowledge and communicate, hey, this aspect of you, I get the feeling that it is so painful to have someone air out. It feels like a family issue, a family pattern that it was a very conditional, loving type of family. So you received love and affection based on your behavior. And so if someone were to say you did something wrong, then it's instead of, oh, well, I'll change. It's done with a guilt and shame. You are bad. And so it created a lot of defensiveness, because as a child, you are dependent on the people taking care of you. And so because you are dependent on their care for your survival, that it felt very life and death threatening when someone would acknowledge, when spotlight, talk about, discuss something about you that is shadow, that is unconscious, that is less than delightful. So, but in current energies, you're no longer a child. You are no longer dependent on others for your survival. You are the adult in the room. No matter if you're filled with a room full of other adults, you are the adult taking care of you. And you can see that old patterning doesn't work. I get the feeling that when people call you out on your stuff, and maybe that's been happening presently, that you get very cruel, because there's this need to protect your image, protect your ego. And it feels like you're lying to yourself. You cause confusion, brutality, maybe even project this stuff back onto others. You cloud and obfuscate the issue at hand, maybe bringing in everybody else's shadow stuff to try to upset others, so nobody has to look at what they're accusing you of, or that they're trying to bring to light for change. Ooh. And then if that doesn't work, it's like you walk away. You turn your back on people who, so specific. It feels like if people are unwilling to just accept the positive aspects of who you are, then you'll walk away. It creates a situation where you have yes men around you, people who are only if this is resonating, it's creating a scenario where you're just allowing people close to you who are you're willing to lie to yourself and not see all of who you are. And you are only allowing people who are lying to you as well. People who are trying to see the truth, who want to see the truth, your shadow isn't an obstacle to you. It feels like an obstacle of you being perfect, of you being complete, Whereas we all have shadows. We all have unconscious and subconscious aspects that we don't see about ourselves. And so this way of being is kind of a short-term way of being. It doesn't create long-term success because there's this unwillingness to change within, where all, real change happens is within. All right, your higher self, Gemini, is in the energy of memories of love. Something in the past. The good old days. What is it about past love? Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, so it feels like you are stuck in that family pattern. It's like you want to, it feels like you weren't accepted unconditionally. You weren't loved unconditionally as a child. It was a very conditional household. You're receiving your needs and wants and affection and love and care was dependent on your behavior, if it was acceptable to the adults. I feel like you are trying to recreate your childhood in relationships. You're wanting to be that child, and it feels like you create relationships where you want it. Quite possibly it could be more like a mother issue that we're dealing with. And there's this need to have someone that you are dependent on so you can play this whole thing over again. So you can have your childhood again, someone you are dependent on like you were as a child, but this time around, you will be loved unconditionally. And the way you're going about trying to be dependent on someone else and then receive unconditional love is by demanding that they only reflect to you positive things about you, that they're not allowed to talk about or look at anything that makes you feel bad about yourself. And so it's creating a block, an inability to move past this. Okay. Your challenge right now is 9 of Swords, suffering in silence. Your challenge is that this way of being is you've created a mental prison for yourself. I don't feel that you realize that that's what you were trying to do. You're trying to feel good about yourself. You're trying to get your needs met. You're trying to be loved. You're trying to heal those traumas and those hurts from like young you who didn't receive the love and affection that you deserved for just being. Your challenge is seeing that this is creating unhappiness, that trying to recreate and control how others see you, control what they're allowed to say to you. I can feel all that hurt. Like it feels like the death of you if you expose all this, and let's look at these painful beliefs and issues. If this is resonating and you are working through this, or if this is resonating and you want to work through this, it takes a lot of bravery. Where you are now is like a precipice of, do I change and face my fears and my pain, or do I continue on and keep suffering in silence? This is taking an amazing amount of bravery to be willing to look at your shadow, to be willing to look at your own self-deception and the things and beliefs that you've created, so you can try to create some control in your life. I feel like something is happening right now, spiritually, in the ethers. It's an awakening. It's an awakening to a different way of being, a way to forgive your family of origin for creating this, for forgiving yourself for the limited way you allowed yourself to show up. It's time for a new phase. It's time, if you're having difficulty with this, to invite mercy in. The energy of mercy, to me, gives a lot of space. It releases judgment and creates space for acceptance for what is. It feels like by creating space and mercy and lack of judgment, then you have space to look at things authentically and genuinely, so you can make choices from that authentic place, an authentic choice of where you want to go, who you want to be, who you really want to be, how much less effort it would take just to show up as yourself, instead of constantly fearful of someone calling you out. And I feel like it's painful to be punishing to others, because it's like self-sabotage. It feels like this need for love and affection and have closeness and intimacy. But if anybody to have intimacy and closeness, and then you've got to be willing to show up as all of you and acknowledge all of who you are. Feels like a beautiful, beautiful reading for some major transformation, major changes, major awakenings. Wow. All right, Gemini, that's your reading. Wow. Hope this resonated and was helpful. Take care.